will be in Vegas next year. Derek Carr, probably not going to be there. He told the team today, according to NFL Network, that he is not going to accept a trade to any team. He wants to be cut and be able to decide where he goes on his own. His contract guarantees him $40 million if he's still on the roster this Wednesday. But now you would think it becomes more likely he gets released because he does have a no-trade clause. Chris Hassel joined by Bryant McFadden and our quarterback, Danny Cannell. Danny, what do you think? I mean, it's Carr playing hardball here.
Absolutely, and this is absolutely what he should do. You know how rare it is that as a player you can have this type of leverage where you can say, no, you guys want to send me to New Orleans? No. And not only does he get out and get to pick and choose where he wants to go, but now he's probably going to get double the guaranteed money that he was due in the remainder of this contract anyway. So instead of going to the Saints, which is very much a question mark around that organization, somebody who struggled the last few years, he can pick and choose. Maybe he can go talk to the Jets, and when they decide whatever Aaron Rodgers does when he comes out of his 4-day darkness trip, whatever happens there, he could talk to the Titans. He could talk to anybody. Anybody that's interested in Derek Carr, he can get a better deal, better guarantee.
Yes,
I think this movie absolutely should have taken.
I echo everything DK just mentioned in regards to Derek Carr. Taking some authority back. Because when you look at how the Raiders handle him in this situation and basically saying, we want to trade you so we can get something in return for your services. Derek Carr's like, no, y'all want to trade me? No, I say no. Either you guys guarantee me my $40 million this week, or you release me where I can probably go get $80 million this year when you talk about getting a new contract along with adding guarantees to his salary based on what we're seeing from quarterbacks nowadays. And as Danny mentioned as well, now I can decide where I want to go. I can really take my time in this situation instead of rushing to go to another team, not doing my due diligence and seeing if this is the best fit for me. There are a lot of teams that are in dire need of quarterback play, experienced quarterback play. You talk about the Jets, we talk about the Colts, you could talk about the Buccaneers. There's a lot of teams that need quality sound play, and they believe they might be a player or two from really becoming a playoff type team if they can add a guy like Derek Carr. So kudos to Derek Carr on Super Bowl Sunday, taking some power back because clearly the Raiders tried to take everything away from him.
Oh, yeah, they basically told him, you've got no value here. And he said, okay, well, you're not going to get any value back for me. At least that's what he hopes anyway. So Derek Carr says he does not want to be traded, will not accept a trade, and he does have a no-trade clause in his contract. He's been with the Raiders since he began his NFL career, and the jury has kind of always been out on him. He's never really been a top 10 quarterback in the NFL. Now he says he wants out, and they're going to have to release him by Wednesday.
And they scored 24 in the second half to win it, aided by a penalty late there. Mahomes going to win Super Bowl MVP, just won his second regular season MVP. Now he wins his second Super Bowl title, and the first player to win MVP and the Super Bowl in the same season since 1999. And Kansas City's partying like it's 1999 as well. They're partying like it's 2023 because they're going to be partying all night long in downtown Kansas City. And in Philadelphia, my gosh, the Phillies lost the World Series and the Eagles lose the Super Bowl. This is brutal right now for Philly when you consider how that game ended. For now, the Chiefs celebratory in the desert. That's where we find our crew in Glendale, Arizona.
Hakeem, thank you so much. Chris Hassel joined by the two-time Super Bowl champion Bryant McFadden and Danny Cannell. We often say that one play doesn't decide a game, but unfortunately, this incredible Super Bowl was decided, quite frankly, by one late call, and it was the hold on Bradbury that set up the game-winning field goal for the Chiefs. What did you guys think of that call that gave the Chiefs a first down and allowed them to run out the clock?
Me personally, as a former defender and as a fan of the game, I thought it was uncalled for. I thought it was a legit play from Bradbury. He didn't do anything to hamper Juju Smith-Schuster. I understand they said he held him, but he didn't do anything. He didn't change the course of his direction of anything like that. That's not a hold. That's not a hold at all. That's not disrupting Juju from going up the football field. Me personally, I think that was a nitpicky call. In that situation, if it's not obvious, I don't think you should call it. Now, granted, one play does not determine the outcome of a ball game, but clearly, like as you mentioned, Chris, They get a stop. They got a big-time opportunity to put their offense on the football field with at least one timeout in their pocket to get in a game tie-in situation in regards to a field goal. But that play allowed Kansas City to do what? Work the rest of the clock and then win with a game-winning field goal. So clearly, Philadelphia fans, they're upset. They have a right to feel that way because I believe that should have been a non-call.
Now, we let the defender talk. Now let's the offensive guy talk, the quarterback. I would have been doing the same thing that Patrick Mahomes was doing, which was begging for that call. All that being said, you are 100% right, B-Mac. That was an awful call. In that situation, it has to be very clear-cut where it's pretty blatant for you to make that call with the Super Bowl on the line. And to me, it wasn't. It wasn't at all. So I thought they completely blew it at the end of the game. Would it have impacted the outcome? I think, yes. We were watching the second half unfold. And what do we keep saying? It feels like the team that has the ball last is going to be we had a shootout unfolding, like back and forth, back and forth. So if the Chiefs settle for a field goal and you get the ball back with 1:30, the worst case you're thinking, man, we're going to drive down and get a field goal. Maybe we send this thing to overtime, or you have a chance to win the game. I thought it was the only bad thing from this game because, man, this whole game delivered. The quarterbacks played phenomenally well. That was the only disappointment to me was the call at the end of the game, which had a massive impact.
And there's going to be a lot more talk about that call for the rest of this night, for the rest of this offseason, and for the rest of, I think, a lot of people's lives in Philadelphia because it really did turn everything. But let's go to where this game turned, which was at halftime. The Eagles are up double digits. Patrick Mahomes is limping around. How did the Chiefs turn it around in the second half?
Adjustments by Andy Reid. Oh, my goodness. Listen, there's a premium on good coaching. That's something you can't prepare for, especially when you talk about coaches that can make sound adjustments in halftime and come about, make the ball club look like a totally different ball team. Remember in the first half, they had 14 points. They only scored one offensive touchdown. They had a return touchdown on the defensive side. Pat Mahomes didn't really do anything, and the entire offense didn't do a lot. But then the adjustments that Andy Reid made on the offensive side was well documented. I mean, they came out and they dominated. And one thing I like to say as well, when you talk about film study, there's such a thing as to where you watch too much film. And that's what we saw from Gannon and his defensive players defensively for the Eagles, because in the red zone, Andy Reid knew they were going to get a man concept. And they had man plays drawn up to beat that type of coverage. When you talk about the play with Kadarius Toney, the motion as a defender, we're anticipating him doing what? Running across the formation, but what he did was he retreated back. Then when you look at more of the same situation, when you talk about anticipating him running across the formation, Andy Reid and Eric Bieniemy knew they were going to get a man-to-man concept in the secondary, and they just had a play in hand that was much better than what they thought they were going to see from the Philadelphia Eagles side of things. So quality sound adjustments, and that's why we saw a different ball club in the second half from the Kansas City Chiefs.
I thought this entire playoff, from the moment that Patrick Mahomes hurt his ankle, was an opportunity for him to only enhance his legacy. And, man, with the second half coming back after he had to, he's limping around in pain. You could clearly see him wincing. To come back in the second half, extend a couple plays late